Ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here this evening. The Council President, Nancy Navarro, was sorry that she could not attend this evening, but I'm Sidney Katz, and I'm the Vice President of the Council. Zoning Text Amendment 1906, vape shops. This is a ZTA would add vape shops as a use allowed in certain zones and establish the standards for a vape shop. Bill 2919, Health and Sanitation, Electronic Cigarettes Distribution, and resolution to adopt Bill 2919, Health and Sanitation, Electronic Cigarettes as a Board of Health regulation. This bill would prohibit an electronic smoking device manufacturer from distributing electronic cigarettes to retail stores within a certain distance of certain schools, and generally amend county law regarding smoking electronic cigarettes and health and sanitation. The resolution would adopt Bill 2919, Health and Sanitation Electronic Cigarettes Distribution as a Board of Health regulation. Bill 3119, Health and Sanitation Electronic Cigarettes Distribution, Use and Possession, and resolution to adopt Bill 3119, Health and Sanitation Electronic Cigarettes Distribution, Use and Possession as a Board of Health regulation. The bill would prohibit the distribution of any tobacco product, coupon redeemable for a tobacco product, cigarette rolling paper, or electronic cigarette to any individual under 21, except under certain circumstances, prohibit an individual under 21 from using or possessing a tobacco product or electronic cigarette, except under certain circumstances, and generally amend county law regarding smoking electronic cigarettes and health and sanitation. This resolution would adopt Bill 3119, Health and Sanitation Electronic Cigarettes Distribution, Use and Possession as a Board of Health regulation. Bill 3219, Health and Sanitation Flavored Electronic Cigarettes, and a resolution to adopt Bill 3219, Health and Sanitation Flavored Electronic Cigarettes as a Board of Health regulation. The bill would prohibit an electronic smoking devices manufactured from distributing flavored electronic cigarettes to certain retail stores in the county, and generally amend county law regarding smoking, electronic cigarettes, and health and sanitation. The resolution would adopt Bill 3219, Health and Sanitation, Flavored Electronic Cigarettes Distribution as a Board of Health regulation. A Health and Human Services Committee workshop, also known as HHS, committee work session on the bills and the regulations is tentatively scheduled for Monday, November 25th. A FED, a Public Health and Education, Public Health and Education work session, or not education, Public Health work session on ZTA 1906 will be scheduled at a later date. Persons wishing to submit additional material for the Council's consideration should do so before the close of business November 18th so that your views can be included in the material which staff will prepare for the committee's consideration. If you would like to follow the progress of the Council bill, the Council's website has a subscribe function. Go to the Council website and use View Council Records and Legislative Updates link to learn how. We're about to call the first panel. The first panel is Madeline Wink, and then followed by Casey Anderson, Jennifer Danish, Masami Soggy, Jess Flores, Matthew Milvey, and Nagan Nguyen. If you could please come forward at this time. Please note, for those of you who have not testified before, that at the bottom of the microphone there's a switch that you can cut on, and the timer will start at that point. For those who are speaking or who have only signed up to speak on one topic, you'll receive 3 minutes. For those who have signed up to speak for more than one of the topics this evening, you will receive 5 minutes. The yellow light will go on when you have 30 seconds left of your time to speak, and then the red light will go on, which means that you need to be finished with your testimony. Any testimony that you have submitted to us that you have not finished, we will certainly read as well. Thank you very much, and with that, we're going to begin with Madeline Wenk.
Hi, my name is Madeline Wank. I am 12 years old. I go to Sligo Middle School, and I'm in 7th grade. I have lived in Silver Spring since I was born. I play soccer, I swim, I I get good grades, and I'm in the school play. I'm here tonight to support various bills which together would not allow vape shops near our schools, not allow flavored e-cigarettes to be sold near schools, libraries, and other places kids go, like playgrounds, prohibit e-cigarettes from being sold to anyone under age 21. I'm here because everyone should be healthy, and more kids are using these e-cigarettes, and some are dying. There was a girl at my school who juuled, and it's really bad, and I wonder how she got access to e-cigarettes. At a Nats game, I saw a high schooler who had access to one and was vaping. I'm not just worried about their health, but others around them, because the smoke or vape goes through your lungs. The smoke is really bad for your lungs because it damages and blocks your airways, making it hard to breathe and can cause lung illness. Here are just a few reasons why I support these bills. With no vape stores around, fewer kids will have access. More kids will stay safe without them. Less people would die because of vaping. It would be illegal for teens up to age 21 to have access to e-cigarettes, so they wouldn't be able to get a hold of them. People don't know how much nicotine can affect you. They don't know that nicotine can cause you to be addicted to tobacco products and kill you. Since there are several different flavors like mint, bubblegum, and watermelon, etc., kids don't know that the product contains as much nicotine because of the flavor. Also, I found out that one Juul pod has the amount of nicotine as 20 cigarettes. With the flavor, it may seem like the nicotine is not there, but with or without the flavor, it doesn't make a difference. Kids also don't know how addictive the chemicals are and try it once and then sometimes do it several times a week. Also think about athletes. If they juul, not only is it terrible for their health, but it messes with their brains, causing them brain damage and not being able to focus. If they can't focus, they can't play the game. In conclusion, I support the bills and urge the council to pass them. Our schools and neighborhoods will be healthier and safer.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Casey Anderson.
I'm Casey Anderson, Chair of the Montgomery County Planning Board. The Planning Board supports ZTA 1906 and just has a couple of questions and comments that we hope you'll view as constructive. First, we think that there should be some clarification of what constitutes an established high school or middle school. We would suggest using use and occupancy permit as the criteria for what makes a school established under the bill. Secondly, we had questions about the maximum square footage allowed in a retail establishment for it to be defined as a vape shop. The bill currently, if you take it, the language literally says that if it's exactly 51%, and we would think that at a minimum you'd want to look at saying at least 51%, and also to examine the relationship between that square footage restriction and some of the other bills that you're considering to make sure you're achieving the goals that you set out to accomplish. And I'll give back the rest of my 2.5 minutes to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But as you know, you've done this before. We don't do that. But anyhow, next is Jennifer Danish.
Thank you anyway, Casey. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Danish, and I'm the head of Grace Episcopal Day School in Kensington, Maryland, and I'm a board member of the Association of Independent Schools of Greater Washington, AISGW. AISGW represents 75 member schools in the greater D.C. area, and our schools educate over 10,000 students in Montgomery County alone. I offer our comments here in support of Zoning Text Amendment 1906, which would prohibit vape shops that sell e-cigarettes and similar products from opening within a half mile of a public or private middle or high school, and would also require vape shops that are now operating in those locations to close within 24 months. We want to commend the Montgomery County Council for these efforts to curb the rising epidemic of e-cigarette use among minors, which threatens to reverse the great strides made over the past decade to decrease the use of other tobacco products by preteens and teenagers. Between the years 2011 to 2017, smoking in young adults declined 45%, but the current availability of e-cigarettes means we are seeing an alarming rise in e-cigarette use by teens and preteens. The Washington Post reported last month that more than 1 in 9 high school seniors report vaping nicotine on a near daily basis, according to an annual survey conducted by the National Institute of Health. As the authors of the NIH study point out, new efforts are needed to protect youth from using nicotine during adolescence when the developing brain is particularly susceptible to permanent changes from nicotine and when most nicotine addiction is established. For these reasons, we as educators and school administrators are grateful for the recently introduced legislation in Montgomery County aimed at limiting access close to schools to e-cigarettes by middle and high school students. We have two comments on the amendment that we'd ask the Council to consider. First, the amendment in its current form prohibits vape shops from selling e-cigarettes within a half mile of a middle or high school. Vape shop is defined as any retail or service establishment that devotes 51% of its floor area to the sale and display of electronic cigarettes or allows vaping on site. We would propose that this language be changed to include any retailer or service establishment that sells electronic smoking devices, regardless of whether the establishment is defined as a vape shop. Thus, the language could read, "No person shall sell or distribute an electronic smoking device within a half mile of any middle or high school." This would preclude the corner market and other retailers from selling e-cigarettes. Second, we would ask the Council to consider whether elementary schools should be included in the restricted zoning. Although use of these products by elementary age students does not seem to be as much of a current concern, restricting exposure of these younger students could serve to delay their potential use in the future. Thank you for considering these possible additions, and thank you again for your initiative in introducing this important legislation. I appreciate the opportunity to comment on the proposed legislation on behalf of our ASUW member schools.
Thank you very much. Here we go. Next is Masami Soggy, and I know I'm probably misstated that. Please. Someone here? No? I'm spelling the last name as S-A-N-G-E. That person is not here. Next is Jess Flores. Please.
I'm Jesse Flores. I represent two local businesses, Bethesda Vapor Company and Downtown Vapor Company. We're here to talk to you about the different types of vaporizers on the market, which are open coil systems and closed pod systems, such as Juul, the link between closed pod systems and the rise of underage use. An open coil system is a refillable tank with a coil heating element. The user will add their own e-liquid with the nicotine level of their choosing, normally on a low level. This allows the user to gradually decrease their nicotine intake and reduce dependency. This type of unit makes it easier to know exactly what substance is being vaporized and has been a dominant system in the vaporizer market for the past several years. By allowing the user to be able to gradually lower their nicotine intake, an open coil system is an effective tool to break a smoking habit and ultimately a nicotine addiction. Being as this is a more involved system requiring education, the user open coil systems are predominantly obtained at age-restricted vape shops. A closed pod system consists of a cartridge pre-filled with liquid with a high level of nicotine. They introduce high levels of nicotine and are designed to be disposable and discreet. The recent reports of increased nicotine addiction has been a result of these types of systems being readily available at most gas stations and convenience stores. These locations do not take the time to interact and engage with the users and provide little to no knowledge about the addiction products they are selling. Vape shops take pride in making sure our community is well informed and try to combat illicit use by requiring appropriate identification. The eyes of disapproval are on vaping, and nicotine combustible cigarettes are taking lives every second and are readily available on almost every street corner. The recent rise in underage use can largely be contributed to convenience store and gas station sales of these closed pod systems, and as the data provided by the state of Maryland shows, virtually all infractions for underage sales happens at non-age restricted stores and locations that are open to general public. Reputable vape shops such as ours and the ones of my colleagues with me here today have had age restrictions implemented since our doors opened, requiring proper government-issued ID to be presented for all purchases. We provide knowledge and guidance for the end user to make an informed decision and do our best to ensure all products are sold to users of legal age. CDC has confirmed that almost all causes of recent illnesses have been linked directly to using black market cigarette cartridges pre-filled with THC and other illicit substances, none of which are found in the products in our stores. We fear that further punishing Reputable businesses like ours will only cause a rise in black market production and distribution, giving current users and people looking for help and information with nowhere to turn will only lead to poor decisions and unfavorable results. Flavor bans have been introduced and subsequently overturned in several states and jurisdictions. The quick reversals are a clear example that it's not the way to fight the issue. For the past 5 years, our store has helped thousands of individuals combat their addiction to smoking and nicotine addiction by offering reputable products that would help wean users off combustible cigarettes. This is largely due in part to having options of lower nicotine levels found in traditional combustible cigarettes, and also having flavors that do not resemble traditional tobacco. Although tobacco-type flavors are available, a large majority of former smokers opt for more fruity and savourier flavors. This is an advantage to help people get rid of all reminders of the effects of combustible cigarettes. Flavors provided the users the ability to find something that fits their needs. Instead of enforcing a zone clause or a flavor ban, we believe that introducing legislation to limit sales of any vaporizer products to age-restricted stores and regulating a limit on the amount of nicotine to no more than 25 milligrams or 2.5%. We will better help to try to curb underage use. We ask that you please allow us to keep educating our communities and let us work together to target the real issues.
Thank you very much. Next, Matthew Milvey.
Good evening. I'm Matthew Milvey. Thank you, members of the council, for having this opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. I'm speaking on behalf of the Maryland Vapor Alliance. The Maryland Vapor Alliance for several years has worked with the Maryland General Assembly to craft responsible legislation pertaining to the vapor industry. The MVA has always been interested in keeping vapor products out of the hands of minors, providing a pathway to adult smokers to transition to a much less harmful product, supporting marketing standards that do not attract our youth, increased penalties for anyone who sells tobacco products to minors, education of youth on the harms of tobacco and youth prevention initiatives, strict age verification procedures and ways to improve them, protecting small businesses against harmful legislation, and there are elements of the Tobacco 21 last year in the state that we supported as well. It is my belief that we can work together to achieve these goals. We can make sure adults have access to these life-saving products while keeping them out of the hands of the youth. And while tobacco products, cigarettes, remain readily available on every corner of every street that kill 480,000 Americans a year, 7,000 alone in Maryland, when we have a 95% safer product. We have open lines of communication with our state representatives, and we would like to have that same relationship with this council. I firmly believe that we can work together to achieve this. The current proposed laws in Montgomery County do not work to achieve this goal, and we wish to work with you to alter them so that they do. There are many small businesses in Montgomery County that rely on the vapor industry to provide for their families and have invested their life savings to open up these businesses to help adult smokers. I'm sure we can find a solution and work together to keep these products readily available to adults and to keep them away from children. And as a father of 3, that is my goal and our organization's goal. I've talked with these businesses that would be affected by these laws, many of them, and they are afraid that these laws will put them out of business, and they are in fear of providing for their families in the future. I urge you to stay these bills until we can have further discussions and come up with solutions. I wanted to speak to a few things I've heard, and I'm happy to provide evidence of this. But you're going to hear a lot of things tonight, and I appreciate the comments that are made by the proponents of this bill. But I want to be clear that not one reported case of lung injury from regulated FDA nicotine products sold in reputable vape shops has ever resulted in lung injury. The things we've heard, I was on the CDC call last week where I listened to all these health professionals speak on this call, and they're confirmed that 94 to 96% of all these lung injuries and deaths are from illicit black market THC products. And they are further investigating the other tiny 4 to 6% by urinalysis of these affected patients that should have been done in the first place. So it's good to see that the CDC is following through and following up on these and showing us that we're the good stewards of this industry and the black market is what we need to be concerned about. All these products that are sold in these vape shops have to be registered with the FDA, the ingredient listings, and what goes into them, and printed labels on the box and a huge warning label on those boxes. We're proud of the work that we do by age restricting, and we're working with the General Assembly in Maryland to further age restrict these shops to make sure that minors do not get these products, because we're about helping adult smokers get to a safer alternative, and that's our goal. No kids should be using these ever. Nicotine does not kill you. It's an addiction like caffeine, and there are studies, many studies that show that. So with that, I respectfully am opposed to what has been presented, and I look forward to working with this council in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker is Nak Nguyen.
Thank you, council members, for seeing all of us today. I appreciate your time, especially this late at night. My name is Nak Nguyen, and I'm opposed to all the bills presented today, specifically speaking about the zoning. In one of your handouts that we were given, that you were given, is a chart of violations provided from the FDA. You can find this on their website yourself. It's public information. 160 shops in the state of Maryland failed to ID minors last year and were penalized for for not doing so. And of those 160 shops, 0% of them were actual vape stores dedicated to providing smokers with a means to quit smoking. A lot of these shops you know of, Sunoco, Exxon, 7-Eleven, and the products that you see that are constantly being sold are products like Juul, owned by Altria, the maker of Marlboro; Blue, owned by Imperial Tobacco, the maker of USA Golds; and Views, owned by R.J. Reynolds, the maker of Newports, Camels, and Pall Malls. The biggest takeaway from this is that it's not the vape stores that are making these violations, but we're the ones being punished by it. Our clientele statistics show that our average consumer that shops with us is between the ages of 25 and 50. Of these stores, for every vape store in the area, there are more than 2 to 3 dozen C stores, gas stations, convenience stores, grocery stores that are in that are surrounding our location. At these stores where money is the main thing that they're worried about. Their sole business model is oriented around selling more, faster, and to anyone and everyone. Doesn't matter to them. It's just a dollar sign. At a vape store, however, a business like a few that you will hear from today, our business model is quite the opposite. Our business model is to educate, reduce harm, and to facilitate the proper guidance involved in guiding cigarette smokers to stop smoking. We understand that every individual is different, and that their needs may vary person to person, and just not a dollar sign. And with that said, we hope you reconsider the zoning, and we hope that you guys don't penalize the vape store business owners, small businesses that, again, I hear time to time are a backbone of American society. And I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Juando, please.
Thank you.
Councilmember Juando.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen, for your testimony, and everybody else as well, especially you, young lady. Thank you. What was the source of the 160 shops cited? Where did you say that? You said that was FDA? Or? Yeah,
that's correct. It was. It's on the FDA website, and you also got a printout of it as well. Okay. It should be in your documents somewhere.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't know which ones you have.
No, it's all right. We'll find it.
It's quite a big pile.
We'll find it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We have no other questions, and we're going to call the next panel. Thank you for being here this evening. Next panel is Riza Amadabi. It's Rodrigo Santos, John O'Hara, Eric Fritsch Ler, Adam Zimmerman, Patrick Carpenter, Sergey Danshin, and Lul Hayes. Thank you. Okay. And if we could ask, and I know I'm not saying your name correctly, so I apologize, Riza Amadabi? Yeah, that's it. Was I even close?
Reza Ahmadabadi.
Okay, close. Thank you.
I appreciate the effort, though. All right, well, I thank everybody for their time this evening. I, like my business partner was here up earlier, Jess Flores. I represent Bethesda Vapor Company and Downtown Vapor Company. And I will be essentially saying some of the same things because this is our passion. We are vape shop owners. We've been open for the past 5 years in Bethesda, going on our first year at Downtown Vapor Company in downtown Silver Spring. We take a lot of pride in what we do. I know it might seem just a new fad that's popped up for everybody, but it's a fad that's much needed. It was very much needed for our community. We have physically seen a difference walking in the streets of Bethesda, especially around Woodmont Triangle where we're located. We have a lot of clients from NIH that shop with us. We have a lot of people on Walter Reed Army Base that come into our stores, or Naval Base, I apologize. Everything we do is for education. The first person that walks in the door, before we show them any product, we always ask questions. We want to know, do you smoke? How much do you smoke? Is this for a leisurely activity? Is this for a social smoking? Are you a heavy smoker? All this information can give us a better idea of how to guide the customer. I have never once in my life, being a former smoker as well, and my first electronic cigarette was a blue from a 7-Eleven. Nobody ever asked me any questions. They just asked, which one did you like, and it's going to be this much, would you like a bag? They don't care. My colleague Jack, who was up here earlier, states that they are in it for the profit. We are in it to educate and help. Every single one of our owners in our stores have been former smokers over 20 years, and I'm in my mid-30s. That's a long time to be smoking. It is a very long time. It's a very harmful product. We are fully for the over 21 initiative that happened in Maryland. We do not want anybody underage buying any of our products. The fact that they do get into the hands of underage people, as the data shows from the FDA website, is all from convenience store sales. It is very easy to walk in there and to not be identified for any kind of illicit purchase. It is very simple. Gas stations, convenience stores, even some grocery stores, even Rite Aid, and all the ones that are prevalent there are high-level nicotine pods, disposables, and ones owned by major tobacco corporations. If they're in it to help people with nicotine addiction and to get people off of smoking cigarettes, they wouldn't offer the same product that they manufacture in an electronic form. They want to keep people going on their products, and that's why they're readily available. I don't know any single one of my vape shop colleagues that carry any of the big tobacco product brands in their stores. That's not why we're here. That's not why we opened our doors. I personally, and I'm pretty sure all my colleagues here, are opposed on the zoning issues as well, because, again, if they're going to get their hands on it, we want people of the age to be able to come into our stores and ask us questions. We want to be here. We've been in it for a long time. We do a lot of our own research. We have our own trial and error process. We want to help any single person that comes into our door eventually wean themselves off of nicotine. That is a huge benefit to what we offer. It is not a one-stop shop of high-level nicotine that gets you addicted from the first shot. We ask, if you're a heavy smoker, we'll give you a moderate amount of much lower-level nicotine that you find in a Juul, which is, like the young lady said earlier, it is a pack of cigarettes in a pod. That's a lot. Nobody here is going to be opposed to knowing that that's a lot of nicotine. However, nicotine is not going to kill you. Nicotine is nicotine is found in food product. It is found in much of the product that we consume every day. And the problem has been, and stated by the CDC, that all the effects that have been coming from all the illnesses are black market THC cartridges. The unfortunate part is that we also live in what I like to call a headline society. As soon as the first illness popped up, no questions were asked of what they were doing, where did they purchase, what did they use. Everything just came out and said vaping has killed an individual. That is very detrimental to small businesses, which most vape shops in the entire country are. They are small businesses, just very passionate, hard-working small businesses who, like my other colleagues said before, put a lot of their own hard-earned money into it to be able to do something better than what they were doing before, which is help people stop smoking cigarettes, which is the ultimate goal of vaping in the first place. So I urge you, please consider the zoning ban for vape shops. I would, if anything, I would like to amend that to be a zoning ban on convenience store sales. That would be the most effective way, because people are not underage and not getting them from reputable vape locations like my colleagues here own today. So I appreciate your all's time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Rodrigo Santos.
Hello. My name is Rodrigo Santos. This is actually my business partner. We own Bethesda Vapor Company and Downtown Vapor Company. And I just want to explain again the differences between the type of vaporizers that we sell in our stores and the ones that we feel really are the problems, which are a pod system, something that's closed, something that you cannot fill. You can't control how much nicotine is in there. Those are generally, like the young lady said, they're a pack of cigarettes per puff. So the kids normally say they get a buzz from this. When I was growing up, nobody ever said, hey, do you want to go get buzzed on Marlboros? That's something completely new. I've never heard of this, that you get buzzed from a tobacco product. So it's never like the flavors, the bubble gum or that. They're trying to keep the nicotine and really get and push away the flavors. Nobody's really talking about what is the problem. Flavors don't kill. If anything does have a possibility to kill is the nicotine that's in the Juul. It's about a pack of cigarettes worth of nicotine. So if you get numerous amount of them and put them in your mouth at the same time and inhale, I'm sure you can have some kind of overdose reaction of some sort. That kind of system is what's been brought to the attention, and all the negative attention as well. What we sell in our stores are open systems. You can choose the type of nicotine. You can choose no nicotine. We sell juice bottles with zero nicotine in it. It's just a flavor. We have a lot of customers that are on no nicotine that were smokers for 20 years. I smoked for 22 years. We all went to high school together, me and my business partners. We went to Springbrook. We started smoking cigarettes when we were 12, 13 years old, buying them at right there. There's a karate store and at 7-Eleven. There's McDonald's right there on it's New Hampshire and Randolph. We stood there for hours until either a homeless person or an older person bought us cigarettes at 7-Elevens. We would never allow that to happen at our vape shops. We have ID scanners. We card everybody. We don't want people underage smoking. We wanted cigarettes to die with our generation. Cigarettes, I hate them. I hate the smell of them. I hate the existence of them. We offer 15% off. Well, our store, we actually adopted it from one of our colleagues' stores as well, 15% off to get off Juul. Before we offered any Juul products, we couldn't get people off and we couldn't educate them. So when we called, hey, do you have Juul products? No, we don't. Click. Hey, do you have a Juul product? No. Click. Buy. Now that we do, I say I do. And they come in and I say, well, just to let you know, we'll give you 15% off to get off a Juul product. And they go, oh, okay, I'm getting 15% off today. No, you're getting 15% off to get off of a Juul product. So that's when they want to know why they're doing that, and we educate them that 5% nicotine is actually 50 milligrams, and 90% of them don't know that. They immediately, normally 7 out of 10 of them are converting from those nicotine pod systems, the closed systems, into what we feel is a traditional vaping system. Low nicotine, something that most of the time is under what one cigarette has, and or no nicotine. The flavors is something that I enjoy. I love cupcakes. I love candy. I love cereal. I eat it every morning. It's not a kid thing. I mean, I'm sure every single person here eats cereal or loves candy or cupcakes. I mean, Bethesda Donuts does great. Bethesda Cupcakes does an amazing job. And it's not kids. It's full adults. So that's something we really want to do. There's no distance. If you take the high away, the buzz, then there won't be, I think, an issue. There won't be this huge thing. Like she said in 2017 is when this rise came. That's when Juul started getting very popular. Before that, it was just shops like us. Small amount of nicotine, no buzz. There's no rave about it. There's no reason for kids to do it. There's nothing to it's not a Tide Pod, I guess you could say. So that's what the Juul is. The Juul is the Tide Pod of our industry, and we would love to ban it, to get it out of our county, or out of the country completely. We hate Juul in every shape or form. And that's the biggest difference between an open pod system and a closed pod system. And we would love to work with you guys to, figure out the caps on the nicotine, but we don't feel that distance and flavor has really anything to do with the problem. And then reiterate that all this attention's really come from the black market THC cartridges, and we don't want to get penalized for it. Come to our shops, see who we are. We're real people. We were raised in your county. We went to schools in your county. We work in your county. We pay taxes in your county. All of my employees are here. They're people just like you guys. And we're willing to help. We're willing to educate. We're willing to get and fight that fight with you. We don't want kids vaping. We don't want them using any drugs. That's the whole purpose of vape shops. We're not convenience stores. We're not in it just for the money, because there's really no money. You guys, there's 30% vapor tax in Montgomery County. We don't make that much money at all. I promise you. Thank you for your time. Sorry.
Thank you very much. John O'Hara.
Yes, my name is John O'Hara, and I am the president of the Maryland Group Against Smokers Pollution. We have an organization with over 1,000 members across the state. Approximately one-third of those live in Montgomery County. Over the last 4 decades, actually about the last 45 years, I have testified before this council approximately 20 times pertaining to tobacco and vaping control. The reason for my many testimonies is that Montgomery County has been perhaps the most aggressive county in the state of Maryland when it comes to protecting the health of its citizens. During these many hearings, I, the council members, and attendees heard the tobacco industry tell many half-truths and in some cases blatant lies. Now we are hearing the same kind of rhetoric from the vaping industry, some of whom are owned by the tobacco industry. For example, I can remember when the tobacco industry would come in here and say tobacco smoke itself is not harmless, even though they were killing maybe 10,000 people a day. Then they came in and they said secondhand smoke is harmless, even though they were killing at least 1,000 people a day. So those are the kinds of things that we heard from them. They also said that they didn't want kids to smoke, even though they were using Joe Cam and all kinds of other things to try to get them to start smoking. Fortunately, the previous council saw through the tactics of the tobacco industry and passed marvelous legislation to protect Montgomery County residents. Now today, the vaping industry is saying they don't want kids to smoke, but go online and take a look at some of the Joe ads and other ads and make your own decision on that, folks. They don't look like they're appealing to old folks to me. Over 25% of our high school students and even 10% of our 8th graders are hooked on vaping. The facts are clear that vaping is harmful and extremely addictive. Many adults and young people are dying from vaping. In order to protect all county residents, and especially our young people, I urge the council to pass the strongest possible legislation to prohibit the distribution and sale of any flavored tobacco and vape products. The physical health of your constituents is far more important than the financial health of the tobacco and vaping industry. And incidentally, nicotine is not a harmless drug. It is a very harmful drug. And if anybody wants any information on that, I'd be glad to provide it to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Eric Fritsch Ler.
Good evening. My name is Eric Fritsch Ler. I'm the owner and operator of Vapor Worldwide in Gaithersburg. We've been on Shady Grove Road for 6 years now, serving the community and helping adults get off combustible cigarettes. I've worked and lived in the county for more than 25 years. I know I only look 25 years old, but you guys can go with that.
There you go.
So obviously I strongly oppose what we're doing here today. This gentleman, I respect his opinion, but vapor is not big tobacco. Juul is not who we represent. My partner here just talked about how we have a Juul killer sale. We are educators. We are getting people off of tobacco. We are not big tobacco. We are small businesses saving lives every single day. I have over 1,500 testimonials from last year alone of adults that have stopped smoking cigarettes from my shop. So we're being demonized when the black market has put these THC carts out there, and you guys are coming to us to shut us down. Now, on Shady Grove Road, I think I'm in your area, Mr. Councilman Rice, we have a tobacco store, a 7-Eleven, a beer and wine store in the same shopping mall as me, but you're targeting the vapor shop. I can assure you, and I can show you a video from my shop, kids come to my shop, they're turned away, they walk directly into the beer and wine in 7-Eleven and get their jewel. So I have 2 teenage kids myself. Neither of them vape. We discuss it at home. It's an issue between the kids and the parents. My kids don't drink because they're not 21. We discuss this. So that's how we make decisions on things like that. We're not suggesting a prohibition on alcohol, which kills more people, and tobacco, which kills way more people. In the state of Maryland, in Montgomery County specifically, we've had 3 incidents of lung disease from 3 high school kids at Churchill. They all went back home within a week. There's been not a single death in the state of Maryland related to this vaping so-called epidemic. But as my colleagues pointed out, 7,500 Marylanders have died last year from tobacco. All the kids are buying these devices from 7-Eleven, Walmart, Target. You have the FDA information in front of you. I've been serving the community for 6 years, built a business on saving lives and eliminating big tobacco and helping this gentleman in his mission. My father wrote the book Smoking in Politics. If you guys went to business school at George Mason, you probably read it. He's written 6 editions. I've been against big tobacco since I came out of the womb, and I will continue to be. As you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this. Personally, I was a smoker like most of my colleagues here for 20 plus years. Nicotine gum and every other cessation method was not a working method. In my written testimony, I've left you with some of the news stories from Fox and ABC News about our vapor store, about our customers. I encourage you, as I did 3 years ago when you passed the wholesale tax, to come out to our shop, meet your constituents, the adult vapors that are saving their lives from tobacco, the grips of tobacco. That is what we do. So I don't have anything else to say. I really appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you very much. I did want to point out that you're in the 3rd district, which is my district.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're neighbors. We're neighbors.
Okay, close.
Yeah,
in the
problem.
ballpark.
Next is Adam Zimmerman.
Good evening. My name is Adam Zimmerman. I'm a 10-year Rockville resident where my wife and I raised 2 young children. Thank you for the opportunity to testify tonight. Since August 2016, it has been illegal in the United States to sell e-cigarettes to anybody under age 18, and retailers have been required to verify the age of anyone under 27 attempting to purchase a tobacco product. Nevertheless, over the past few years, youth e-cigarette use in the United States has absolutely exploded. High school students, 12% in 2017, 21% in 2018, 28% in 2019. Middle school students, 0.6% in 2017, 5% in 2018, 9% in 2019. Overall, 5 million middle and high school students use e-cigarettes today. Here in Montgomery County, this council has taken strong action in recent years, from raising taxes on e-cigarettes to ensuring e-cigarettes are included in smoke-free air laws, to suing Juul for relentlessly and insidiously marketing their products to children. But we must do more. Vaping rates locally mirror national averages. MCPS students have been hospitalized after vaping in schools. Both the county and the state have been affected by the severe vaping-associated lung illnesses sweeping the country. Nearly 2,000 cases to date nationwide, hundreds of which are kids under age 18. I applaud each member of the council for supporting the legislative package before us tonight, but I particularly want to commend Councilmember Albornoz for his outstanding leadership protecting kids from e-cigarettes. As we write in our co-authored Washington Post op-ed from yesterday, quote, We must act swiftly and decisively in response to these alarming numbers. It took decades before we realized the full harm associated with kids using e-cigarettes. With respect to e-cigarettes, we cannot afford a wait-and-see approach. We know enough about the dangers to act now. Under the package being considered tonight, vape shops would no longer be located and e-cigarettes no longer sold at any retailer near schools. And let me briefly correct the record with respect to where kids are getting these products. According to the 2018 National Youth Tobacco Survey, a little more than 8% of middle and high schoolers report that they get their e-cigarettes from convenience stores or other retailers. 14.8%, nearly double, say that they get them from vape stores. Additionally, in this package, e-cigarettes would no longer be distributed to individuals under age 21, and flavored e-cigarettes. And again, let me correct the record because we've heard tonight that flavors aren't the problem. Flavored e-cigarettes are driving this epidemic. 97% of middle and high school students who use e-cigarettes use flavored varieties. These products would no longer be sold near schools, libraries, parks, playgrounds, or recreational facilities, including flavors like mint and menthol, the two flavors used by nearly 2/3 of high school students who use e-cigarettes. This legislation utilizes the full range of the county's authority to regulate where and by whom e-cigarettes are sold. The Health and Human Services Committee should strengthen this package even further. For example, by extending the ban on manufacturers distributing both flavored and non-flavored e-cigarettes to retailers to a full mile from any elementary, middle, or high school, and shortening the time frame under which vape shops can no longer operate near any school from 24 months to 18 months, if not less than that. The council should pass this package unanimously, and the county executive should sign it immediately thereafter, before the end of this year. E-cigarettes are not healthy. Not a single e-cigarette product or brand has been certified by the FDA as healthier than regular cigarettes. E-cigarettes are not safe. As you heard from a remarkable student tonight, one Juul pod contains as much nicotine as 20 regular cigarettes, and that nicotine can harm kids' brain development. And finally, e-cigarettes are not harmless. Kids who use e-cigarettes are more likely to use regular tobacco products as well, and we've even seen reports of some e-cigarette users who are now attempting to quit by going back to regular cigarettes, because smoking cigarettes has become a smoking cessation device, given the high quantities of nicotine in some of these products. To avoid losing a new generation of kids to nicotine addiction, Montgomery County must once again assert its national leadership on this issue, and passing this package would represent exactly that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Patrick Carpenter.
It's me. Good evening, council members. I appreciate the time to come here. My name, as mentioned before, is Pat Carpenter. I served in the United States Army. I also own a local retail store, and I'm also a board member representing the Maryland Vapor Alliance. Let me first address the recent news reports that vaping is causing lung illnesses and even deaths across the United States. The public is being misled into thinking that nicotine-containing e-cigarettes are causing this outbreak. The purpose of any outbreak investigation should be first to prevent future cases. And I don't believe the CDC has done a good job because they've been so obsessed with the idea of finding one single product to explain the outbreak that they've lost sight of the overall purpose of the investigation. No outbreak ever finds 100% of the cases that share a common exposure. The fact is that 90% of the tested cases are linked to THC vaping products, not nicotine. The priority should be to warn the public, especially the youth, to avoid THC vaping, specifically black market. So due to the lack of clarification by the CDC, many municipalities are deciding to ban flavor vaping products. Their overreactions are problematic because it's conflating the outbreak with this youth vaping problem. These bans will have three adverse effects. First, it'll force many ex-smokers, like myself, to return to smoking. Second, most ex-smokers who don't return to smoking will start buying black market products. And three, will cause a transition in the liquids away from regulated nicotine products to black market products that you can easily get off the internet, off the street. The local guy shows up in a van and says, hey, you want to buy some stuff? But all three of these effects will have adverse consequences for public health. We all agree that vaping is an adult product and you shouldn't vape. We all agree on that, period. We need sensible regulation that finds a way to keep e-cigarettes on the market for adults while minimizing the risk to youth. And here's three suggestions on how this could be done. First, ban the sale of all tobacco products, including e-cigarettes and combustible cigarettes, to stores that are only those open to 21 years and older. Attached to my written testimony that you have, we've already talked about the FDA sting operations in Maryland. So for the past 12 months, again, brought up before, you'll notice that not one violator is a vape store. Second, restrict the level of nicotines. For example, the nicotine cap. So when you mentioned it earlier, you don't need a 59.9 milligram like in a Juul. It's unnecessary for smokers to succeed in using e-cigarettes to quit. This cap will also help curb youth vaping because they're chasing the buzz. This is the key point. Cap will help curb youth vaping because they are chasing the buzz by vaping these high concentrated nicotine and THC products. And third, we need to educate the youth about the high addiction potential of these Juul and THC products. Kids hate to be controlled, and stressing that these products are designed in a way to maximize addiction can be an effective way of taking the glamour out of using these products. They want to look cool. It worked with smoking, so I want it work with vaping. So finally, I ask the council, before you guys vote, look at the impact that these bills will have on adults residing in the county. How will they adversely be affected? While we can't 100% stop youth from obtaining adult products, we can certainly educate and discourage it. And I'm not only referencing vaping products, but also other items, adult items such as cigarettes, alcohol, opioids, and other illicit products. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next is Sergey Donchin. Sergey Donchin. Next is Lul Hayes.
I think that, okay.
It's on.
Hello, everybody. I'm here tonight because I can tell you what it's like to go through vape illness. I can tell you what it's like to not be able to breathe. I can tell you what it's like to have to sit in the hospital, hooked up to IVs with drugs in them, basically to bring your system back to normal. And I can also tell you that it wasn't a Juul that got me sick. In fact, this is a picture, if I can find it, of the actual device that got me sick. And the kicker of it is I don't even know where it is at this point. Anyway, it's a big picture of the device. But at any rate, what got me sick was sitting in a Starbucks and a Starbucks manager allowing a person to blow it on me secondhand. I never was a vapor. I quit smoking cigarettes 16 years ago. This happened to me, and I was actually the first documented case in 2014. I brought it to the attention of the Starbucks manager, who then had an off-duty cop arrest me for no reason. I tried to bring this to the council back then. Ike Leggett. Nobody wanted to hear about it. Even brought it to the police, who then buried their lying officer. You know, the whole situation. But he got caught lying in court that day during the trial that they put on me for no reason. 21, there should be nobody that should be able to have any kind of anything that could be harmful to them. Nobody should have access to any of it unless they're at least 21. And I firmly believe that. And another thing, it's not the THC, it's not the flavors, it's the actual oils that they're made of that sit on your lungs and start to grow bacteria that then infiltrate the rest of your body. I went through it. I know. People came from Frederick, Maryland. They drove there to get me from that Starbucks because the manager wouldn't help me when I asked her to. And they took me to the hospital. And that was at Suburban Hospital. And that was in late March of 2014. And then it was like a week or so after when I saw her again, that manager, when she had this off-duty cop arrest me to hide what had already happened. Why is it that people wait till people die until they're willing to look at something, like really look at it and do something? I don't get that. There's a whole lot of people who've gone through what I went through that night, and a few of them aren't here anymore. And like I said to Jamie Raskin when he said to me at his little breakfast meeting thing that he's sorry that he, let me down. No, you didn't let me down. You killed some people. You could have put a stop to it earlier. It could have been regulated earlier. Flavors don't belong in cigarettes. Anybody here smoked back in the day and bought a cigarette that tastes like cherries or bananas? That's child's play, and that's what they're looking for.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rees. Don't see any questions, so we're going to call the next panel. The next panel is for Bill 3119, and that's Patricia Winters and James Collins. And John Alcantis, Alcannites. I guess I picked up the wrong page. Ms. Winters, if you could begin, please. It's not on yet. Yeah, the red light will come. There we go.
All right. So I may not have signed up correctly.
Well, it doesn't. You're fine. Just
Okay.
whatever testimony you have is
All
fine.
right. So good evening, everybody, President Katz and members of the County Council. My name is Patty Winters. I am here tonight as an activist for our youth to make alcohol and other drug-free choices since 2008. I commend your work on the bills addressing the youth vaping epidemic. I think we all know there is no easy fix, and efforts to resolve it will take time. But I do believe that these bills are among effective strategies that, to use Councilmember Reamer's phrase, are within our reach. Probably our biggest obstacle to impacting this epidemic is when adolescents do not know or appreciate the multi-layered and long-term risks inherent in using electronic nicotine delivery systems or ENDS. If you are not already applying these resources as part of your ongoing work on this epidemic, I would like to offer the following strategies to empower our youth to avoid these products and suggest 2 bill revisions. The first proposed strategy is to solicit a diverse cross-section of middle and high school student input on effective methods to educate our youth and help them develop strong resilience skills so that they are confident enough and respect themselves enough to walk away from negative influences and not worry what others think. I offer 2 examples in my written testimony, and they can both be SSL hour activities. A second strategy is to expand alternative peer group efforts for our tweens and teens. Although created for the recovery community, APGs are a powerful preventive strategy as well, and there are 2 examples right here in the county in the written testimony. Third suggested strategy is to collaborate with MCPS to address youth vaping and other health substance abuse as a Parent Academies event. And then the fourth suggestion is to provide motivational interview training to our county staff who work with our youth, and then engage them in dialogue to help them see what's in it for them to avoid all these things. The suggested revisions to the related documents for 3119 delete B in parentheses or 18 with military ID. Research by the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism showed that for each year under age 21 that the drinking onset is delayed, risk for later life injury diminishes. That's it? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
We do have your written testimony,
Right.
and we will read it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is James Collins. You're James Collins, please. And also, if John Alcantes, Alcanites is here. He can please come down and testify as well. Mr. Collins, please.
Thank you. Just to provide a visual aid for my previous speakers, this is not a Juul. This is the type of device that's actually sold in vape stores. It is far from a Juul. First of all, I'd like to comment, I vape and I vote, okay? The British version of the American Medical Society, the Royal College of Physicians, has stated that vaping is 95% safer than smoking. They recently revised that to 99% and are urging all British smokers to switch to vaping instead. This proposed legislation does exactly the opposite. The current spate of illnesses and unfortunate deaths that have been erroneously attributed to vaping have clearly been caused by contaminated THC laced with vitamin E, causing a disease called lipid pneumonia. It's when your lungs are coated with oil. This is based on the latest information from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. With regard to flavored e-juice, which is supposedly being used to target kids, 95% of adult vapers prefer fruit or dessert flavors over tobacco flavor. I myself prefer donut. One council member said flavors such as pina colada, cotton candy, bubble gum, clearly these flavors have youth and children in mind. You know what else comes in exactly those flavors? Vodka. Okay? The bills being proposed tonight would potentially close down 19 small businesses, result in the unemployment of over 100 people, discourage people from quitting smoking, and cause others to go back to smoking tobacco cigarettes. It would do absolutely nothing to address the problem of teen vaping. Why do I say that? Because most vape stores don't even sell Juuls, and teenagers are not allowed to even be in a vape store, much less buy anything. Here's the picture of the door to Bethesda Vape, plastered with no under 21 signs. If someone under 21 is merely in a vape shop under Maryland state law, that is a $500 fine for the first offense. Teenagers are not buying Juuls in vape shops, they're buying them at 7-Elevens, where they're clearly and prominently displayed directly behind the cash register, if not actually on the counter. A ban of Juuls within a half mile of a school would at least address the issue, but not a ban on vape shops. Montgomery County already has the dubious distinction of being the first county in the country to tax vaping. Think of the Children is not a replacement for sound, responsible legislation that addresses the teen vaping issue while supporting small businesses and the efforts of adult smokers to free themselves from addiction to dangerous disease-causing tobacco cigarettes. I strongly urge that the proposed legislation be voted down. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There are no questions, and we appreciate everyone being here this evening. As we mentioned earlier, this will be taken up in the various committees, and we appreciate everyone's interest. Good night.